my dad used to always say that we had the Ammons curse. You know,
Yeah.
his twin sister was murdered when he was younger. He
Jesus.
had family members pass from cancer. You know, I mean, life hasn't really been easy for him
Rough.
or us. But when I got into the personal development space, you know, in my early 30s, I started realizing that all of this was just victim mentality and victim mindsets. And you're ultimately choosing to stay in this state and accept that, this is just how our family is. We have this curse. Yeah, so Brendan Kane, he's the author of 1 Million Followers. And from my understanding, he ultimately kind of fell in love with movies and storytelling and things like that, and was working with a lot of creators and celebrities early on, and was helping them grow their presence and their brand on the different social platforms. And he was thinking like that, you know, there's got to be something to what we're doing here, and he wanted to ultimately prove that, you know, this works for anybody, and it's not only working for them because they're celebrities. So I want to grow somebody's account to over 1 million followers. Who do I know that is ultimately a nobody that I can scale up to 1 million followers? And then he decided, well, I'm not really anybody. People don't know who I am. And so he ended up, between organic and paid boosted posts, was able to get his platforms to 1 million followers in 30 days.
Hmm.
And this book is how he did it.
Can you give us like a little, like, here's a couple of the things he did?
So, where I've gotten to so far is one of the biggest ones is ultimately leveraging storytelling, like we had talked about, and
Mm-hmm.
even down on a micro level, if you're
Yeah.
doing the short form
Yeah.
content, of still having a story and delivering the message. But one of the other things that he has leveraged, and I don't think I've gotten to it in the book yet, is using some of the paid ads to boost the post to get it
Right.
out to more
So yeah.
people faster. And
Especially if something's already winning, like if you get something that's
correct,
going nuts and then boosting
put
it.
gasoline on it and boost it out further to expand it out. But the biggest thing that I've noticed, the premise behind this book is you have to create content that people want to share, because when
Mm,
you share, you're getting that compound
yeah.
effect on your content and getting it out to more people. So
Yeah.
creating shareable content that
Yeah.
tells the story, backed by a little bit of money to push it out to a larger audience,
Hmm.
and apparently it's game over. So
Yeah.
uh, when
Gary
we
Gary V talks about essentially like the best. He's saying put out a lot of content. They basically just dump daily, at least daily videos out there, right? I do more than
Yep.
daily, probably like two a day on average, right?
Yep.
But maybe more. I'm going nuts, but that's just because like I believe in video and like it's the cheapest form of attention, even if it takes me 20, 30 minutes to make something. But he says then get the viral stuff and then swap out the ending, which I did for my book recently because I had that video of me on the roof like picking up two bundles and people hate
Okay.
it. People are mad at me and they're like whatever, but it gets a lot of interaction, right? and so I took that. I took the first half of it, and then I put a promo for my book on. The first one did 500,000 views, which is like kind of a
Nice.
lot, especially with my logo on it and my shirt,
Yeah.
and then in context to my ideal customers, kind of thing.
Let's go.
And then I swapped the ending. I took half of it, I took it away, and I did me just walking on the street, and I said, if this is what you look like doing your own marketing by yourself, that type of thing. And
Yep.
then you should go check out my book. Here it is, call to action, etc. Swapped the ending. It didn't go to 500,000 views, but it still did 200,000 views on
Nice.
on just Facebook, and it did well on the other platforms too. So it's like you can do that. You can have something go viral-ish, and then you can put it out again with an alternative ending with a call to action. Because I'm guessing you're like me, where like most of your content does not like directly tell everyone they should work with you because it's like a little heavy-handed, or do you do that often? I don't know.
No, I usually don't. I mean, most of the stuff has a call to action to, hey, hit the like button if you got some value. Give me a follow. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see. And I don't really even push Paragon a whole lot in my content. I probably will end up doing some from Paragon's page and do some more like ads for Paragon or, hey, give us a call at Paragon or whatever. But most of the stuff that I've been producing lately is just more industry wide to hit on some things that I see all the time.
So Rilla allows you to listen to it's an AI in your pocket. Listens
Yeah.
to the appointment. It's pretty crazy what it can do. It gives a script, gives everything they said. It breaks down some statistics for you.
Analyze talk ratio, interactivity, like how you and I are interacting back and forth, longest modeling, like all those
Honestly,
things.
this is the shit that I most believe in AI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Enhancing the
You're
user
about to put
experience.
math and data around something that used to be my magic skill.
Question about that. Why go towards industry instead of customers? Because I will say sometimes I get a little worried that people are going to waste their time and money and energy and effort on industry focused content when they should focus on homeowners. But you
Yeah,
do it
no,
really well.
that's
You do it better than most. So I'm
yeah.
not ripping. I'm just like, why?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So I'm working on the Ammons advantage. So I'll go back a little bit further because when I was growing up, my dad used to always say that we had the Ammons curse.
Yeah.
His twin sister was murdered when he was younger. He
Jesus.
had family members pass from cancer. I mean, life hasn't really been easy for him
Wow.
or us, but when I got into the personal development space, in my early 30s, I started realizing that all of this was just victim mentality and victim mindsets. And you're ultimately choosing to stay in this state and accept that, this is just how our family is. We have this curse. And so I want my life to flip that. And so, that was kind of the premise around my tag having that 360 on it, because I want to go full circle and just really just become a new version of me, change the trajectory of our family tree. And I want to the Ammons Advantage is going to be training for roofing sales professionals and eventually home service professionals that have a focus around insurance work and want to build a book of business where they don't have to knock doors, because a lot of stuff is around door to door. And a lot of the trainings that I see out here, that they show you kind of how to potentially land the inspection, but then once you land it, how do we do a proper inspection? How do we document this damage? What are the things that we say to get the homeowner educated and involved in the process? How do we deal with some of the changes to insurance policies? How do we navigate all of the waters that seemingly are getting more and more muddy every day?
Yeah.
And that's what I want to bring. And I want to continue to have the roofing company small like it is so that we can continue to get our hands dirty and test things, because a lot of these people I see that get into coaching and consulting will leave the day-to-day of the industry and step into their coaching and consulting. And I feel like if I'm educating reps on the insurance process and things like that, I need to still be working files so that I can see what things are changing and not, so that I can go out and then just be like, hey, this is working, this is not, let's do this. And so I'm putting together a community because I want to be able to have something that people can go to and ask some questions and not be crucified like you see in a lot of these Facebook pages. And so,
Hey, it's tough about that because I run a Facebook group too. I think is just well, a lot of the best people in the industry are spicy,
yep,
and like but
yeah,
it's tough because obviously there needs to be a place where people can actually ask questions. I think it has to be smaller groups, and probably social is not always the best spot, right? Like I just think social is it's a cesspool, Taylor. It's funny because when this last year you've gone nuts on social media content. Like you're doing way more. It's way
Yeah.
better. Like props to the marketer that you're using. Very
Thank
very
you.
sharp. You're doing a really good job. But you also like once you see that, once you put your head above the fray, I know you and I could talk for a while about like internet culture, haters, and kind of a weird like you have to end up getting thick skin, but it hurts. It hurts a little
Yeah.
bit. And it's an
Yeah.
interesting, like, especially that first year or whatever, I would guess you've got some fresh, it just rubs you a little raw for a second.
Yeah.
Like when people really rip, especially when they get a good one, like it's not a big deal when they have no idea who you are. They don't understand what's going on. But when they have
Yeah.
like an acute observation that you're like, that might be kind of true. Fuck you.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
being a creator has some drawbacks. How are you
Oh
dealing
yeah.
with those drawbacks?
Dude, I'm so glad that this went here. I didn't even know we were gonna go there, but I'm glad it did because I have a neuroscience trained and cognitive behavioral trained bot in GPT that I had built that I can ultimately just talk about things with. I'll go on my walk and I'm just like, hey, this is some stuff that I'm dealing with. And one of those that I had a conversation with it on is addressing these negative comments because I'll get mad. My stomach will start to hurt. My
Yeah.
heart will start to beat harder. My palms will get sweaty. Like
Yeah.
I'll have the physiological response, like
Of
the
a
fight or
fight.
flight.
Yeah.
And part of me is like, do they not know my background? But the other
Yeah.
part of me is like, I'm not that person anymore. And I also know that people who are lashing out and making negative comments, they're not happy people. Like they
Yeah,
have
usually.
something internal that they're struggling with. And so I have to understand that too. And so I have to, and it's something I'm still working through and may for a while, but I have to go through and ultimately say, do a little bit of box breathing before I go into the comments section. And, when I notice that I'm getting a little
Yeah.
upset, I'll leave and go, walk the block or something
Yeah.
like that. And it's silly too, but I see why a
No,
lot
it's
of
real.
people will start creating and then be like, I'm out, because,
It is a distraction. It's a superpower though, and
yep,
that's the thing. Is like you have to push through that, and there's a superpower on the other end.
yep,
If you handle it the right way, right? Like, and I
correct.
didn't before. If I'm honest with you, I didn't before. Now I do, and it's tough not to go even deeper into this. We're
Let's
going
go.
we're going deeper. The drawbacks of being a creator. There's other creators sometimes that want to be like in the industry that want to be that is not a no name face. It's somebody that you're like, oh, I thought I respected you, and then you're
Yeah,
coming at me. So people will do things like that, and now I'm just so past that, man. I got love running through my veins constantly. I just want to be a positive light in the world. It doesn't not hurt, but
yep,
I just redirect. I redirect. I'm like, you know
yep,
what? I hope that person I hope they get everything they hope for. I pray for them. For real. I pray for them. Because I really just want my energy to be on the right vein. I'm not perfect about this, so if I ever talk shit about somebody, I'm sorry. But like I'm just saying, like, this is my ideal state is like,
yep,
God, I hope they do well. Because honestly, if they're doing well, even competitors, right?
yep,
If my competitor is doing well, it usually means I'm doing well. If another creator that wants to be a hater is doing well, it probably means I'm doing well. There's a lot of things, and it's such a waste of energy. But if you can get through that, because being a creator is so much good stuff, like so many new connections, so much new business really, and so much opportunity for like relationships
yep,
because that's what life's all about, is relationships. Is that it will enhance your life, but you have to be willing to go through this haterade shit, and then eventually in the next few years, you don't even. I do think about it less, Taylor. I'm just letting you know. I've been doing this for a while now. I've gotten a lot of haters. Sometimes I get them on purpose. That helps. That helps. Once you start doing that a little bit, it does help because you're like, I did try.
Yeah.
I did kind of try to inflame some people, and so I should know that could come. Like as long as you're not going against your ethics.
Right. Yeah. I had actually, because I always was kind of the class clown kid, and, I would act out a lot. And as I got older, I realized it was because I was craving attention and acceptance. But at the time, I didn't realize it. And so I've actually thought about creating a page like Taylor Trolls or something like that
Yeah.
that has a funny little profile picture, and then that alter ego responds to all the negative comments,
Yeah.
like not in a bashing way, and I don't want to put anybody down, but in like a funny way. I'll make jokes to people and say like, I hope you get up in the middle of the night to pee and catch your pinky toe on the side of the bed or something like that.
One of the things that I do think, because I remember being on my first Dimitri video, and then like the comments, there's like really negative stuff because people hate marketers and whatnot, right?
Yep.
And I remember reading the comments, and I was like texting Dimitri. I was like, "This is not good. Please help, please." And he's like, "Literally, the best thing you can do is like do self-deprecation back." And God, that's hard. But it is something I did learn how to do a little bit better. Like the problem is I've had times where I really didn't like myself in the past.
Yep.
And so then that shit just gets into that. It pushes that like nerve.
Right.
But if you aren't in that space, if you're not in a I actually agree with you, I'm bad space, you can respond like kind of a funny over the top. Hey, if you thought that was bad, you should see me, nailing in fascia or whatever. There's like so many ways you could you wouldn't I wouldn't last a day on a high pitched roof or whatever. I don't know. Like there's so many things I could roast myself for that. I mean, and then I just started roasting myself. But you don't want to go too far down that road because you don't want your personal brand to be all like negative towards yourself.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Well, and then the other thing too that I didn't even realize is when you tell yourself, whether it's out loud or in your mind, that you're dumb, stupid, any of those types of things, your brain doesn't know the difference. You may be like, hey, I'm just joking, but it's only that 5% conscious mind that is aware that you are joking.
That's true.
The other 95% in your subconscious, it's reaffirming that you're stupid and that you're not worthy. And so you
That's
have to, be really careful about that. And, literally like with the vaping that my wife and I are quitting, I was telling her that I want to make sure that we go at it with a positive mindset of, hey, this is going to be easy. We're going to enjoy quitting vaping. I can't wait to put this down. I'm doing this because it's going to help me live longer. I'm going to be able to taste food more. Going through and just telling myself those things, even if I initially don't believe them, I can have a little bit of imposter syndrome there. But at some point, my mind's going to get behind it and be like, you know what? This is easy. We can do this. This is a good thing. And so
I'm priming my brain on like the truth is
That's it.
98% of my, because I think when you just relax, so like for instance, I've been up late a lot lately because of the new baby.
Yep.
And for some reason, in the middle of the night, my thoughts are not great. They're a little rough. They're sometimes like they skew a little negative, like catastrophizing, etc.
Yeah.
But I just like constantly prime my brain on positive stuff. My identity, I am a transformational leader. I'm a loving and amazing father and husband, all that stuff. Like I like continually, because I believe that naturally the brain just goes to negative. And so my thing is you have to train your brain. And
Oh yeah.
and like another one that I do a lot is just go through my vision. I have a very clear vision of
Ooh.
like 7 years from now that I want for
Yep.
my life. And I get into the details. I know exactly what my house will look like. I know all the emotional energy that I have with people around me, and I'm building it out. It's like a little castle of like energy and thoughts about what I want in my life. And I'm constantly thinking about those things so I don't stay on. Because I just think the natural tendency is for negative thoughts. So I think you have to train your brain or else you will go negative.
RoofCon is definitely the best conference I've ever attended, and I've been to several. We go to several every single year.
I bought the tickets. I said, we're going.
This year they broke 5,000 tickets, so it's growing bigger and bigger every single year.
If you're not here, I don't know where you're at.
Definitely coming back 2024. See you then.
RoofCon, the #1 conference for the roofing and solar community, is coming back to Orlando, October 23rd through 25th, 2024. Get your tickets today at roofcon.com.
Oh, dude, I couldn't agree more. I was literally telling my wife the other day, and this is something I do too, is I go through and had used GPT to write out my vision and my why and my purpose statement and those types of things, because I will read those regularly and then have like a little affirmation that I'm the greatest roofing insurance professional in the world. And I'll tell myself those things, and I'm my own biggest hype man because, like you said, at the end of the day, it's all about priming your mind, and wherever my focus goes, energy's going to flow, and so I need to make sure that I'm putting my focus towards positivity and things like that.
So we talked about the drawbacks of being a creator. What is something that being a creator has taught you that maybe other people could learn from? Like, what are some lessons that you've had along the way, putting out all this content, getting a lot of views, maybe besides the hater stuff?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would probably say the biggest thing that I've noticed is that there's a lot of people that are watching your content, following the things that you're doing, and they're getting a lot of inspiration, motivation. They're looking up to you and the things that you are doing, and so it really gave me some accountability, but it also kind of reaffirmed that I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to be doing and that God has called me to do. Because I love that I can get messages on Facebook now of, hey, I love what you're doing, or I'm learning a lot from some of the stuff that you're posting, or hey, can we hop on a phone call and kind of chat about a claim that I'm struggling with and stuff like that. Because as you know, with some of our backgrounds, like we weren't always good people. A lot of people didn't want to be around us.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was in my 20s going to bars and stuff and being told that I couldn't come in, I wasn't welcome. Because they knew that once I got some liquor in me, I was probably going to clear the place out fighting. And so it's interesting to be able to look back on all of that and just see the amount of growth. And what's really cool is, obviously we're always in the present moment, so it's hard to see into the future. It's easy to look back into the past, but I was journaling the other day, and I've journaled since about 2017, and I've gotten very good about it over the last couple of years to where I journal almost daily, but I have a lot of my recovery journey written. And so I'm able to go back and look at those things and see the person I was at that time, the mindset I was in at that time. And so it gives me a ton of focus going forward of, hey, the things that you're doing now, continue to do them, double down on those things. And really, to directly answer your question that we had started with was, there's a lot more eyes on you than you think, so make sure that the way that you are living is the person that you want to be in this world. And they always say, be the change that you want to see. And so the biggest thing that I can do for you and for other people is to be the best version of myself. That's the same thing in my marriage. That's the same thing in my company, is if I focus on me getting better and everybody does that, we're going to all collectively get better. But as far as, a lot of the haters and naysayers, the loudest boos are going to come from those cheapest seats. And I've never had somebody doing better than me put me down. And I've never had anybody that was somewhere I wanted to go that was talking down to me or talking down to others. So if there's people in your life that are trying to cut your legs out from under you, misery loves company. And so, if you entertain that, you're just an eagle flying with the buzzards, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, I think it's just to go off on a random direction for a second, because you're kind of talking about changing your life. Wouldn't mind checking in on all that. It's an interesting thing, because I was just telling somebody in my company was asking about my previous life, essentially.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time
Old
for me.
Tim.
Yeah, 15 years plus. It doesn't even, when I talk about all this stuff, it doesn't feel like me anymore. It literally feels like a different person, because, I had some weird fuel in my tank,
Yeah.
And I mean, I had issues. I had other issues besides just that stuff, right? And I had to work through all that because I didn't have that stuff to lean on. And it's just such an odd thing, because I really am trying to push these ideas of being involved in the community and giving and volunteering and positive shit. I'm really trying to push all that, but it's crazy if you look at my past. If you look at my past and you're like, dude, what in the world do you have to ever say? Why do you think you're trying to be this positive light, but you've done some negative shit?
Yeah.
And I think that's that contrast hurts sometimes when I really look at it. And I do have regrets, and I do have fear that being my full authentic self will people will really judge me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Really telling people about all that shit that I'm not proud of.
Yeah.
It's hard to not feel like they could think that I was inauthentic, that I was. The contrast is just too sharp.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to pretend. It's just I'm trying to fucking change my life, and I actually have a lot, And now I feel like I've worked off a lot of bad karma. I feel like I've worked a lot of bad karma, and I feel like I am a positive change in the world. It's just such a weird thing. You've just talking to you about this because you've been there.
Yeah.
It's it's hard when you look sometimes at the amount of contrast, and I just hope I'm still being authentic,
Right. Well, and I'm right there with you, because I do feel like there's a period of time there where you do have to be an imposter. And you do have to act the way that you want to become, and then do that with enough repetition that it does become who you are. But where a lot of people fall short on that is they say, I don't like who I am, let me make these changes. So they map out these changes they want to make. They want to start going to the gym. They want to start eating better. They want to start doing this. And so January 1 rolls around, or Q4 rolls around, because that's coming up, and they say, I'm going to start, and this is what I'm going to do. And it works for 2 weeks, and then they're right back to where they were. But in my experience, they haven't gone back far enough, because the thoughts that you have and the beliefs that you hold, or let me rephrase, the thoughts that you have are going to create the beliefs that you have, which then reinforce the actions that you're taking each and every day. So if you drop into that formula in the middle and you want to change those actions, but you haven't changed the thoughts that create the beliefs that support the actions, then there's going to be too much friction in those actions, and it's not going to work, and you're going to fail. It's the same thing. That's the same reason your New Year's resolutions and those types of things very rarely work, is you have to go all the way back and retrain your mind on how to think, how to react to situations. And that's where it comes down to crafting out that vision statement and your why and the thoughts and the beliefs that you want to hold, and then affirming that over and over. I would almost even argue spend a 90-day chunk on like not even changing any of the actions you're doing, not even quitting the drinking, whatever it is that you're doing. Just wake up every day and read your vision statement and your why, and then every night before you go to sleep, and continue to do that, because what you're going to notice is you don't want to drink as much. You don't want to do those drugs. You may still be doing them, but you'll be doing less because you'll feel out of congruency, because you're like, this is not who I am.
Yeah. So I took this one. I love this idea. I took it one step further. I record audio, just an audio note with me reading, or essentially describing, and you could bullet point it out before you do it, or you could write it out totally. In my case, I write my vision out completely with all the sensory details and like my identities and stuff like that I'm trying to espouse. And I listen to, so then I can listen to it, because it is tiring sometimes. Like if you're trying to do that out loud every day, it's actually tiring to do. But if I can do that, it almost like seeps into my subconscious, because then I'll just listen to it. So I listen to that like 3 times a week, and I'm doing the vision thing a lot of times when I go to sleep, because that's a powerful moment too when you're falling asleep. It's like, because it's like the bridge between your subconscious and your conscious, and you can kind of like, you can get some ideas in there, because you can kind of like, you can kind of, as you're going to sleep and going into dreamland, kind of program yourself into like thinking more positively. But one way to do it is to record yourself describing your vision and then play it back. And I'll put music behind it or something like that to make it a little bit more enjoyable to listen to.
Yep. Yeah. Well, there's actually there's an app called ThinkUp, THINKUP, and you can actually go through and record your own affirmations in your own voice, because you're exactly right that when you're falling asleep and your brain is transitioning from those beta waves into alpha waves and then into theta waves, Dr. Bruce Lipton has some really good stuff on YouTube where when you're transitioning into that theta state, it is a key into the subconscious mind, because you can bypass your awareness and get straight into your subconscious and program, to your point, those thoughts and beliefs. So I do a lot of that when I'm going to sleep too. I have an eye mask that has speakers built into it that I used to wear in my sleep, and I would let it play different things as I was falling asleep, and it helps a lot.
One more app while we're on it. There's an app called High Future Self, and what it does, so I read this book, Be Your Future Self Now, by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Really good book. It's basically like essentially about compressing time, going faster towards the like dream life, etc. And this app, so one of the things is you record a video for yourself 1 year from now, and about like you should read the book, because I actually will brutalize this, but you're essentially about becoming your future self. And High Future Self, I basically put all like my 7 biggest like dream life things, including simple things like I'm trying to dress more sharply, like and like about that type of stuff, like, and being cut up, like fitness and dress and all that. And I put it so it like reminds me every single month about my vision. So essentially, it's just like it reminds you about the life vision. So that's another app that I found very interesting. You can essentially set it on intervals. So I just put it on monthly, and all 7 of those come in as an alert on my phone of like, remember, Tim, you wanted to do this, just to kind of like continually remind myself of my vision.
Yep, I love that. I actually had read somewhere, it might have been an Andrew Huberman thing, but I use an app called Brainwaves. and you're able to go through and create your own kind of not affirmations, your own frequencies, and then you can layer them as well. And so you can go in and put different solfeggio frequencies, and then
Yeah.
they're binaural beats as well. So you can
Binaural beats, yeah.
Yep. So you can actually drag it in and you can layer binaural beats with some solfeggio frequencies. So I'll do stuff like that when I'm reading or if I'm doing focus work or something like that to get myself into that focused state. And then I love that you do the video thing because I think everybody should do that. I've got one in my phone is when you have a day that you feel incredible, you're like, I am at peak freaking performance. Record a video reminding yourself of what you're doing and why. Because if you can have that to go back to when you're feeling down in the dumps, that video will help lift you up because it's you. You're in a good mindset and it'll really help pull you out of that funk and be like, oh yeah, that's right. We're on a mission. Let's get to work.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
I think this all honestly goes along with the creator thing. And we're talking about you're your first audience, like let's tie it all back. You're your first audience. And like I always say scale your best closer. And for a lot of us, our best closer is us. And like with video, you wanna not only scale your best closer, but you also want to scale your best energy. Right.
Yep.
So that like even when you're shooting, like you got to think about when your best energy of the week is and then go during that time. You don't want to create a bunch of content when it's Thursday afternoon and you're tired out of your brain.
Yeah.
Like it's good to schedule these blocks where your best energy, because like when I'm on point in my, you were talking about trade shows. I am different. I like I get like good energy and good chemicals in my brain. I'm running around getting social and having fun. I'm also like trying to like probably put on a bit of a mask or something. I don't know what I'm doing, but I've got high energy, but we all have those parts of ourselves that are higher energy, lower energy. So know when you have the highest energy, and scale it out.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man, because at the end of the day, we're not always on 10. A lot of people will meet guys like you and I, and they're like, are you always like this? And it's like, no, dude. Like, I have bad days. I have days that I want to punch a hole in the drywall, Yeah. And those are less now, especially now that I don't drink, I'm not near as angry all the time. But yeah, man, it's just daily work. I mean, we have to wake up every day and get ourselves in the mindset of what we're going to accomplish that day. Again, spend some time and think about what's going to happen that day. What could possibly come up? How are we going to react to it? What do we want to happen that day? Because so many of us are just going through life on autopilot and they're not creating their life. We are all children of the supreme creator. Like he created it all, and so that's what we're here to do. Is we were born to create and give others hope to continue to push, and thankfully we're in positions now where we're blessed to not have to really worry about if there's money in the bank. We might not be rolling around in it lighting it on fire, but I'm not hungry, and so there's still people that are, and old Tim is right there. Old Taylor's right there. So we have to wake up every day and continue moving in that new direction. But if we don't know what direction that is and we don't have clarity, what do we stand for?
I think this is a great note to end on, Taylor. This has been a very fun podcast. Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
I hope I get to see you at RoofCon. Are you coming?
I'll be there. I'll be there. I can't wait.
Create a bunch of content. I think it's in fashion now. I think there will be a lot of content creators. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being on. Where can people check you out?
So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram at Taylor Ammons 360, and keep an eye out because we're going to have our communities coming soon. So thank you again, Tim. Love you to death. Hook Agency.
Gang, gang. Hookagency.com puts on the podcast. Thank you, everyone, for watching. See you later.
They're so thorough with every detail of the website. Working with Hook, the design is probably 50x better than any other design I've ever had. Their team is super communicative, and I mean this genuinely. I'm happy to pay you guys to work with us. It's been a tremendous experience.